Hello, welcome back to another Contemplative Living. You know, Spirit once said to me, dwell in a place of unlimited goodwill. And, you know, the Buddha brought up a subject about sublime attitudes. And that's what we're going to talk about today, so let's get to it.
Welcome. Now creating a life of peace. This is Contemplative Living with David Bennett. Contemplations and reflections to help with spiritual living. This podcast is made possible by dharmatalks.com.
All right, so we're talking about sublime attitudes. What are they? Where do they come from? Well, you know, Buddha brought it up, and he kind of expanded sublime attitudes as goodwill. And many in today's society think of goodwill as loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. So let's talk about those. Let's break that down, because these attitudes bring our head and heart together. Okay? So let's elevate to a high degree of moral and spiritual purity with these sublime attitudes. And so when we break it down, what these attitudes do is they help us to create a limitless life where we can move forward through life smoother and more in the flow with our higher consciousness, with our true nature, and begin to affect change from within ourselves. So, goodwill or loving kindness is the most fundamental of the emotions. It's the wish for true happiness. And when we talk about goodwill, we're not just talking about goodwill for ourselves, we're talking about goodwill for our family, for our community, for our circle of friends, for the world and everyone in it. The thing that we get trapped in is we find likes and dislikes. And when we try to practice these attitudes, we try to negate the likes and dislikes. It's very hard. I'm not going to pretend it's easy. I struggle with it all the time, believe me. And I fall down all the time. I just don't judge myself for it. What I do is I pick myself up and reestablish my loving kindness, and I try to bring that forth in all of my interactions. So, loving kindness brings us to compassion, which is what goodwill feels when it encounters suffering. So, to establish a foundation of compassion that is based on our goodwill that we just talked about helps us to move our energy out into the world. It helps us to, and we don't have to do it always physically. We can do it energetically. It's not just going to some disaster or some destitute country and giving of ourselves all the time. It can be energetically. We can spread our goodwill. Empathetic joy is what goodwill feels when it encounters happiness. So what we're trying to establish happiness within ourselves, within our goodwill, within our loving kindness. And this comes from our core center, from our true nature. Our true nature exists with pure love and happiness. And so when we bring that through, and when we bring that into our practice, because this is a practice, trying to establish these sublime attitudes is a very, very intense practice. And equanimity isn't cold-hearted. It's not indifferent. It simply means your goodwill is more focused and effective. And because equanimity means mental calmness, it means composure, it means keeping our tempers at bay. Earlier I said, we're trying to eliminate the likes and the dislikes. Well, this is where equanimity comes in. It actually enforces and magnifies our goodwill when we can have that calm attitude, when we can have that composure. And that's when we can be more effective with our compassion. That's when we can establish that equanimity and be clear-headed and clear-focused to be able to do more and to be more effective. So making sublime attitudes limitless requires work. It just requires work. And your head and heart can learn to cooperate together in order to accomplish it. So to wrap up, if we want to succeed, we must always train our intentions to be skillful. So in order to start this practice of goodwill, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity, we want to establish some intentions. But we don't want to just willy-nilly just throw intentions out that I'm going to act with goodwill and compassion. Let's take some time and be skillful with our intentions so that we know that we can accomplish them. Start out with very simple intentions. And once we establish that, you can build on it and build on it and build on it. And then it becomes more of a practice. Then it becomes more of a state of being. But that takes a lot of work. So I hope that you find a way to bring these attitudes into your daily life. And you have a blessed week. Namaste.
Thank you for listening today to Contemplative Living with David Bennett. Please be sure to subscribe, listen, and share with your friends wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the Podbean app. You can find the links to these on David's website, dharmatalks.com, on the Contemplative Living page. Have a blessed week.